I found out at 2 a.m. New Year's Day that my wife was having an affair. She kept going for another 8 months. I'm 28. When I was 21, I had my first GF, and she was the first person with whom I slept with. I adored her, and after a 6.5-year romance, we got engaged, married, and moved in together. I became skeptical of her and one of her coworkers who was excessively attached to her. There were several red signals that I overlooked since this lady was the love of my life and my wife. Why would she do something so heinous? However, when additional red flags arose, the suspicions grew. I addressed her about these issues, such as him and her frequently texting. I noticed several messages from him to her with rows of love emojis, and how she would always choose going places with him over me, even when I expressly requested if we, myself and her, could go together. She brought him to a bird park that I liked visiting. She had him stay for one night while I was gone, and when I returned, the bedsheets were in the washing machine. I had enough of her being away from me on New Year's Eve, as if I were a horrible man or had done something wrong. I seized her phone and saw her texts with him from that night, when they were professing how much they loved one another. Obviously, I was devastated, but stupid me, I tried to save our relationship. I discovered they had been **zing each other a few weeks later as well, and after a heated conversation, she pledged to change. I was duped. They carried on until August, when I discovered them again. Prior to that, there had been instances where she was purposefully distant to me, and lo and behold, it was because she was doing things with him. Suspicion crept up again as she went to the gym 3-4 times a week, but only had one gym wear in the wash by the end of it, and she never seemed tired or her fitness changed. When I discovered out she had named a star after him on his birthday, which was just a week or two before mine, I wanted a divorce. I had enough. She lied to friends and relatives about what had transpired, claiming that we had just grown apart and desired different things. I react by posting everything on Facebook, including her admissions for the other person, the naming the star purchase, and images of them on excursions I had no idea about. I'll confess that wasn't my greatest moment, and it was probably not fair either. After the divorce, I said that I would never hear or talk to her again. This was roughly 2 years ago, at the time of writing, and she has messaged me twice since then. Both times I have utterly ignored. But I maintain the proof of what she did in case she attempts anything else. To be honest, my first meaningful relationship was a roller coaster ride. 4 months later, 4 days before Christmas, I lost my job and my home and returned to my mother's. After a few years, I'm back on my feet with a new job, searching for a new home and getting back into karate, where I'm now in a kata squad and in contact with many old friends. Stuff her, I'm a much happy now. Story 2. 33F. Want to leave my husband, 35M, but I feel guilty. My husband, 35M, and I, 33F, have been married for 10 years. Our kids are 8 and 3. Years ago, after a year of dating, I felt it was vital for me to relocate to the nation where my extended family lives. His profession did not exist there, and it would be a totally different life than he was used to, so I ended our relationship. But he followed me nevertheless, of his own will, and we ended up moving here and marrying. We reside next door to my parents, and within walking distance of other members of my family and family friends. It's a really communal way of life, and we're both quite involved in the local community. He was born in this nation, so he fits in, but his family emigrated when he was young, so he really has no lingering relatives/connections here. When he relocated here, he had to give up his job, as I previously said. It is not his fault. But he's moved jobs a lot since then, and he has a habit of starting things and then abandoning them. This has cost our family a lot of money in terms of both income and is just not being there to assist since he's following some other career. He even went away for training for something 6 months after our youngest was born. The truth is that throughout the most of our marriage, I have out-earned him, worked more hours, and handled the bulk of the childcare/home care, with my family filling in the gaps. There's also the fact that I no longer adore him. We've reached a deadlock on a number of problems, including division of work and our physical connection, and I'm honestly fed up. But the thought of leaving him feels harsh. Our whole lives revolve on my family and my parents. Our support system consists of my immediate family and family friends, and his closest buddy is literally my half-spouse. Sisters, my parents rent us our home, which is legally on their property. To make things worse, he doesn't have many surviving relatives, so he actually adores mine and regards them as a surrogate family. It's not that he'll be shunned or that I want him to leave our community, but even if I go out of my way to make it clear to everyone that it's amicable, A, it will still weaken a lot of his relationships, and B, there will be people in our community who will feel compelled to take a side, and the majority of them will default to mine. To make matters worse, he doesn't have a lot of relatives living, which is one of the reasons he's so close to mine. Because of the peculiarities of our financial status, his employment condition, and our country's regulations, he is unlikely to get alimony or a large sum of money in the divorce. And I'd probably receive the majority of custody as well, since I spend so much more time with the kids and am easily the main caregiver. Of course, would offer him more time and money, but it would be on my terms, which could be a little insulting. If we didn't have kids, I'm pretty confident he'd simply leave the country. But with custody and presumably wanting to remain near to them, I'm not sure what his decision would be. The way we've constructed our lives has been a collaborative choice, and he's never stated he's sick of my family or wants to remove himself, despite the fact that I'm the one who encouraged him to work more and spend more time with the kids. But I'm thinking that if we divorced, the power dynamic would be drastically altered, upending his whole existence. Story 3. Will things get better, or should I leave my GF now? I am 23, have been dating my girlfriend, F24, for a year, and we moved in together 4 months ago. Everything seemed okay at first, but things haven't been the same since. We've been bickering over little matters, and she's getting on my nerves. The primary problem is that I don't believe I'm attracted to her. I don't want to pull her clothes off or have fun with her. I have no problem obtaining an erection and having it with her. I simply don't have the desire to do it. She's a gorgeous girl, but she's a little curvy, which isn't my usual type. She's attempting to lose weight, and as shallow as it sounds, I'm wondering whether I'd be more attracted to her if she slimmed down. I believe I would be. Since I've known her, she's been overweight, not tremendously so, but curvaceous. Please don't criticize me since I fell in love with her, not her body. I work with a lot of ladies, some of whom are incredibly pretty, and I find myself more drawn to these women than to my girlfriend, which doesn't seem good. My girlfriend and I are quite similar, and I like her attitude and sense of humor. We get along well and I'm in love with her, so I'm at a loss for what to do. However, the attraction is a major problem for me since I'm a very active person when I'm with someone and like a lot of. She has lately observed that I haven't been as attentive to her and is afraid that I no longer feeling her. I know it's the right thing to do to be honest with her and tell her how I feel, but she's extremely self-conscious about her weight and mentioning it would ruin her and our relationship. Will things improve, or should I call it quits with her? I've been going in circles in my thoughts and have no idea what to do.